Bitcoin is taking another huge hit to the downside, and that's exactly what we need to discuss within today's update video, because those World War III fears are hitting the market once again, and that is something we've seen before, and I don't want you guys to get trapped here. So let's talk about exactly that within today's update video. We will discuss a lot more than only that. Of course, all the other latest news in the market here, and we will take a deep dive into Ethereum and altcoins. So from there, first of all, make sure to subscribe to the channel and watch and like my latest YouTube videos, and then we can dive into the most important content. Since Bitcoin is taking another massive hit to the downside with the US stock market also, and that's basically because of this news here, where the USA and Russia are threatening each other with nuclear actions, and I do think the market is currently mostly reacting on this. I don't think it's only this, but I do think it's definitely a huge factor of what's happening for the market. I do think the market is currently in a lot of fear, and that is something we've seen a few times before. For example, 2 times during an Iran and Israel conflict, where also a lot of people were scared about a new world war starting, and of course those tariffs. And basically the similarity between all these moments is that once fear does hit the market, it usually tends to be the bottom for the market also. So if you do believe in this bull market continuing for here, and I definitely do so, because that would make a lot of sense with the seasonality, I do think Bitcoin will see another move higher, then this is simply going to be a dip for buying, because normally once the market is in huge fear, definitely those are the best moments to be buying more Bitcoin and crypto basically. I do think we should be a little bit cautious still, because this news basically just hit the market, so maybe we could dump even a little bit lower, but I still do think this is going to be a great entry to buy more Bitcoin, or maybe to increase your Bitcoin and crypto positions, because I do think the market is actually overreacting a bit here. I must say that Bitcoin is now trading at a super important trend line. This is a trend line I do want to see Bitcoin holding. If we are going to fall below it, we could see a little bit more negative price action for Bitcoin. I do think so here, because then you are losing quite a big uptrend here. So let's hope this isn't about to happen here, but it is definitely going to be a huge moment. I must say, if you zoom in a little bit of Bitcoin, that it doesn't look all too bad here, because Bitcoin did break out of the bull flag to the downside, but is now breaking back in towards the bull flag, basically seeing a very nice bounce here. So I think the market is also seeing a little bit of volatility because of everything that's happening with the US economic data, because yesterday we saw the US unemployment rate coming out, and that was actually matching the expectations higher than the previous one. And that is also one of the big reasons why now a rate cut is getting priced in by traders for September. We have now an 80% chance of a rate cut by September, and I do think on the long term this is going to be super bullish for Bitcoin, because you do want to see those rates coming down, more liquidity into the markets, and more liquidity for Bitcoin and crypto there. Also, we have the US inflation basically plummeting here, so I do think this is going to be a huge combination, because what the Fed basically wants is stimulate the employment market. That's basically what the Fed mostly is for. So they do want a lower unemployment rate here, and they could be getting so by cutting the rates. But to be cutting the rates, you don't want to see sky high inflation, because then you're probably going to make inflation worse. But because in the end, the lower the rates are, the more inflation you're probably going to get within the economy. So I do think this is going to be a major huge bullish cocktail basically for the Fed to be cutting those rates, and that's also why we just saw those probabilities absolutely skyrocket for a rate cut in September. So that's actually looking quite good for Bitcoin and crypto. And we also of course still have this. The SEC just announced that it will be moving all US markets on chain. We still don't know exactly what it means, but the SEC is super pro crypto, and I do think, for example, for Ethereum, this could be absolutely huge here. So don't get shaken out now. I do think it's actually looking quite good for Bitcoin and crypto still. Then let's discuss a little bit of Ethereum here, because we still didn't hit my conservative target yet. We were about $50 away from my conservative case, so I did not take profits yet, but I do still think it doesn't matter because we are going to hit that $4,000 target, my conservative case anyways. And that's going to be the moment where I will be taking most of my profits. If you're a little bit more bullish on Ethereum, you could be looking in towards this bull case, but for me it doesn't make a lot of sense to be holding my Ethereum towards the bull case, because that $4,000 target is already going to be absolutely massive for me, because I've been accumulating a lot in this lower zone here. So if you're going to hit that conservative case, I'm definitely quite fulfilled with my Ethereum profits there. Ethereum versus Bitcoin is actually holding up quite strong during all the volatility. We are now nearing this major support box here, and we are seeing a slight bounce. I hope Ethereum versus Bitcoin is going to hold here, because under it there isn't a lot of price action basically from this move, so then we could see a move lower to the downside. Let's hope not, but currently Ethereum versus Bitcoin is actually holding up quite strong, and that's also because the Bitcoin dominance is currently getting rejected off this major level where we saw a big move back downwards from earlier here. So that's looking quite good still. I do think, yes, it's holding up quite strong, and that's definitely something you do want to see when you are nearing an altcoin season, of course. But I must say, the ETF flows are looking a little bit nasty. We saw insane outflows for the Bitcoin ETF, something we haven't seen in a very long time. Also for the Ethereum ETF, we saw quite big outflows, guys. So this is not something you do want to see. But on the other hand, maybe for your own investments, you do want to see it, because normally once we do see massive outflows, this is basically one of the biggest outflows ever. I didn't even know that up until now. But normally after big outflows, we tend to see bounces in the market. So it could also be a major buy opportunity here. So be aware of exactly that. I do think Ethereum most definitely isn't overheated yet, because we are still seeing this insanely low funding rates, so it doesn't make any sense for Ethereum to be topping out. I do think this time is really different than those previous range highs in my opinion, and we also have this major golden cross flashing for altcoins. So guys, it isn't looking all too bad. I do think a lot of people are currently getting shaken out, which is absolutely unnecessary, guys. It isn't looking too bad, and please don't get trapped here. Alright guys, that was it for today's update video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys within the next update video tomorrow.